City Commission meeting April 9th, 2003, called to order. We'd like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Bushy?
Here.
Commissioner Krzyjak?
Here.
Commissioner Perry?
Here.
Commissioner Rubino?
Here.
Mayor Costelli?
Obviously, Mayor Costelli is out of town, so I am acting as Deputy Mayor this evening. Item number 4, consideration of the following minutes. Regular City Commission meeting held Tuesday, March 12th, 2003. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Anyone have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that the minutes of the regular City Commission meeting held Tuesday, March 12th, 2013 be approved as recommended.
I second that.
May we take a vote?
Commissioner Rubino?
Yes.
Commissioner Perry?
Yes.
Commissioner Krzyjak?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bushy?
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 5, consideration of the March 2013 disbursement report. Amy?
Payroll and accounts payable for the month of March was provided to all of you prior to the meeting. Payroll for the month was $47,874.75. Accounts payable were $454,460.41, of which $185,328.21 was payable in tax liabilities.
Anybody have any questions?
I just had one. Amy, can I ask, what is the bankruptcy charge?
For which?
Bankruptcy withholding?
One of our employees has filed bankruptcy and it's a payroll deduction for that payment.
Okay. That's all.
That's it.
Yep, that was all I had.
Anybody have a motion?
Mayor, I move the March disbursement report be approved as listed.
Support.
Okay. May we take a vote, please?
Commissioner Perry?
Yes.
Commissioner Rubino?
Yes.
Commissioner Krzyjak?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bushy?
Yes. Motion carries. Consideration of governmental reports.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'm Gary McGilver, your county commissioner. Not a lot new on the county front. We haven't had many meetings because of the Easter holiday, but I am part of Public Services Commission, and we have held, today was our 3rd meeting. The idea behind it is to look at gun violence and some of the occurrences across the country in Connecticut and Colorado and all over, to see what we can do on a local level to try to curb and make sure that that doesn't happen here. Today we had U.S. Attorney Barbara McQuaid, State Police Lieutenant, and someone from the FBI, just looking at different ways that we can try to help out and do whatever we can, either try to get new legislation passed locally on Michigan level or pass it on to federal or whatever. So the other thing I wanted to mention is our newest Oakland County Park is Red Oaks Nature Center in Madison Heights, my community. And this is the 4th year that I've done a cleanup in the spring, and I brought some flyers along and I'll leave them with you. It's on April 28th from 9 a.m. to 4 in the afternoon. So anyone that's got some spare time and would like to volunteer and come out and pick up a few things, we'd certainly appreciate your help. So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Rudy Serra. I'm a former county commissioner and former school board member for the Ferndale School District. I'm an attorney in Ferndale, and tonight I'm here on behalf of the Fern Care Free Medical Clinic. I was asked to come tonight to let everyone know that the clinic is having our 5th annual dinner on the 2nd of May. This clinic has had over, during the last full fiscal year we have a report for, we had over 226 patients, some of whom were actually from Pleasant Ridge. 66% of our patients are from South Oakland County. About 65% of our patients work full-time, but fewer than 41% make even $15,000 a year. We service a clientele that has multiple diagnoses, more than one health problem, and no insurance coverage. So we'd be very appreciative to get the support of this community. The dinner will be at the Ukrainian Cultural Center, and if you're interested in tickets, the best thing to do is check online at www.ferncare.org. All lowercase, no spaces, no dots, www.ferncare.org. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to share that with you.
Thank you.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
So I'm Karen Toomey, the Vice President of the Ferndale Schools, and this is Nan.
Hi, I'm Nan Kermuller. I'm the Secretary of the School Board for Ferndale.
So we just came in tonight to check in, as we like to do once in a while. I'd like to thank you for your work at the county level, Commissioner, and just to tie in with that, I want to thank the community once again for having passed the bond, because we have been making security updates a part of our bond by putting in buzzers and things of the sort. If anybody wants to ever check up on the progress of the bond, please know that that up-to-date information is always available to you on the website. Something that we have been deeply involved in right now is our strategic plan, and so we've had many focus groups on this where we've gotten people together based on school, based on people who have left the district. We've even met with people based on race and other things. So one of the things that's near and dear to me as we are working on this is making sure that we are serving all of our families in Ferndale. And some of the findings that we have been having recently have been about our GLBT community, that despite having passed policies and having things on our books, despite making sure that our literature is always parent neutral so that we're not specifying gender, there's still things that we can do to improve it and reach out to them, because it is very important to us that we are serving our students and our families as best as possible. Anybody who is still looking to get involved in the strategic planning process, we do have some more meetings that are coming up. All the list of meetings are on our website. We're meeting this week with the Ferndale High School and Middle School. We're meeting with the special education groups, and we also have some more elementary meetings coming up on there. The next phase of the strategic plan, once we find out all the what's and the issues, we're going to start looking at the hows. So the next phase will be going into champions meetings, where we'll again reach out to the community and ask people to come in and start strategizing on how we're going to approach all the things that we found out and learned. So that's exciting. The other thing I'd like to celebrate is that yet again, Ferndale has been named a community for excellence when it comes to music. We've got the NAM Award yet again. And we have really great academics and some rigorous programs. And to couple with that, our robotics team is going to states this year. So great things are happening. Acceptance letters are pouring in for our students to really prestigious schools. Great scholarships coming with it. So good news, and thank you for all your participation. Anything else?
Thank you.
I think you got it.
Was there one more thing, the, about, what's it called? School of Choice.
Oh, schools of choice. Yes, thank you. And actually, Nan here is probably a better expert on that, but what we have done is we revisited the quantity of schools of choice applicants that we were going to accept into our school this year. And the number appears lower for an absolutely fantastic reason, which is that we target about 15% for schools of choice students being accepted into our district. And because we are doing so much better at retaining the students we have allowed in, that number of students that we will be accepting into the schools this year is drastically lower. So that's another celebration that not only are we attracting kids, but we're keeping kids, and so that is explaining why it is that there will be fewer new students, schools of choice, coming into our schools.
We also lowered our school of choice. Before we used to admit K through 8th grade, and now it's open only K through 3rd grade.
Which is something that we were able to based on having fewer slots. We were able to be more picky. So we know that when we get the students, we do well with them, and so the earlier we can have the students in our seats, the better.
The better that our studies have been showing is the earlier that we get students within the Ferndale School District, the better they do overall in standardized tests. So we're trying to get them earlier and keep them permanently.
Okay.
That's exciting.
City manager has an answer.
I have a question, if I just may. When the strategic plan was being developed, I volunteered myself and Mr. Peterzak to participate in one of the focus groups. And I was invited to one that was canceled at the last minute. And I'm just wondering if that group
We're looking to reschedule for.
I think you just rescheduled.
We did reschedule it. I think we're trying to get confirmation on May 1st. You should have an email from Stephanie Hall. Please let me know if you didn't receive
Okay,
it.
thank you.
Any other questions?
You may not, know this, but apparently public officials are very busy, so it's difficult when comparing the schedules of 4 different cities to find a date that looks, at least on paper, like it might be okay. So thank you for your patience in that, and we appreciate how many people did volunteer to participate.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on here. Item number 7, consideration of city commission liaison reports. Switched it up today. It starts with Commissioner Perry.
Thank you, Commissioner Bushy. The one thing I did want to mention about the schools also, there is an amazing e-newsletter that is on the ferndaleschools.org website that it just gives you, it is constantly updated with events as well as different seminars and things like that they're having that I always find really helpful when I'm looking for information. So it's ferndaleschools.org, and then it's up along the top. You can click on that. But thank you guys for reporting on the schools. On to the other things, which are the WA3, now we are at the point with both the transit, the alternatives analysis, as well as with the complete streets, where they are doing a lot of the public outreach. And the exciting part is the first public outreach for the complete streets. It's a charrette that's going to be held April 17th, 18th, and 19th in Ferndale. And the complete streets one is not really going to deal with Pleasant Ridge as much. We'll be at the one that's actually going to be in one of the ones in June. But the one in April will have an alternatives analysis to talk about the transit. And that will be on April 17th. And I think Mr. Peterzak has that information. Can we put it on the website?
Yeah, we can always. I think they just released that press release.
Yes.
So we'll get it up there.
And it's a great, the alternatives analysis for transit, for rapid transit on Woodward Avenue, will be from 6:30 to 8 p.m. on Wednesday, April 17th. And it will be at St. James Church, the gymnasium there. And the nice thing is, for those 3 days, 17th, 18th, and 19th, they're also going to be studied the complete streets as far as walkability and bike paths, as well as for mass transit, as well as for vehicles and parking issues as well. So ours will be coming up in June. I think it's June 10th, 11th, and 12th, and that will be held probably up at the zoo, but we'll keep you updated, because that's a pretty exciting prospect if we could actually ride our bikes somewhere more easily, especially headed north. And then I'm trying to think, that's about all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. Oh, and yes, Carmine Palumbo. Gosh.
It's a great name.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
And especially when you have Heather Carmona, it all just gets confused. But Carmine was on NPR yesterday, talking about the whole transit and the bus rapid transit and the systems. They've really been working hard to help figure out how to make this work, and they've gotten a lot of grants and a lot of federal funds to help also make that work with the M1 streetcar that's going to happen, that will be between the Grand Boulevard and down to the river. So it's pretty exciting. And then one of the other things we're starting to address, because as Pleasant Ridge wants to move forward with some of our development in our downtown areas, is we're trying to figure out parking. So Sherry has been helping head up a parking committee along Woodward, and so we'll see how that goes. So wish us all luck. Thank you.
Commissioner Rubino?
We're gonna make Woodward a
Thank you,
parking lot.
Commissioner Perry.
Historical Commission, June 8th is going to be the tour, the home tour. Right now they have a possibility of 5 homes. Hopefully they're going to have a few more by the time it comes around. The trolley has been committed, and so the trolley will be back like it was last year. Also, they voted to recommend to the City Commission the appointment of Aaron Snyderman. I hope I'm saying that right. And we're just looking for vendors. Scott helped me out with that tonight, so we should be fine. Also, there's a fall project coming up, which will be an antique sale, and we'll have more information on that. I had 4 residents call me within the last month that they want to be part of that antique, and any other resident that wants to get a booth, just get a hold of Carol Zupan, who's the chairman of the Historical Commission, or just let City Hall know and they'll get it back to the chairman. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rubio. Mr. Kreising?
Thank you. From the Recreation Department, we want to remind everyone that the Recreation Master Plan Survey is now live and online. Please go to www.cityofpleasantridge.org and follow the link in the middle of the page to complete the survey. If you would like a paper copy, they are available at City Hall or the Community Center. And just remember, surveys must be completed by April 19th at 4 p.m. This past weekend, the Recreation Commission put on their 2nd annual appraisal fair at the Community Center. We had over 90 people have items looked at by our expert appraisers. In total, over 160 items were closely inspected and examined for authenticity and value. A big thank you to Recreation Commissioners Kevin Kelly and Diana Perino for all their work and the great organization on the day of the event. And just to tease everyone about summer, the cover was removed from the pool today. The pool was cleaned and scrubbed in preparation for the 2013 swim season. The pool is scheduled to open on May 24th at 4 p.m. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And mine is Planning Commission DDA. We did not have a meeting on Monday. It was canceled. I did attend along with Commissioner Perry and Commissioner Rubino to the Parking Study Committee, which is interesting and a great group and great conversation, and we'll have more good news on that to come here in the future. We're going to move on now to item number 8. This is public discussions, items not on the agenda. We have to come to the microphone. With your name and your address.
My name is Charles Green and my address is 46 Devonshire. And I just want to hear some discussion about the fence along the train tracks. Just see where my city leadership's going with that. Okay. And I have nothing else.
Thank you. It's a fence. Would you like to address that,
Would you like me to address it?
Say something here or I'm going to put myself.
Well, the fence along, and I don't know how far you want me to go back, but I have done a lot of research on the fence along the east border of the city. And over the years, for the past 20 years, we have looked at different options for replacing that fence. We have considered removing and replacing. We have discussed this with Grand Trunk Railway a number of times. The fence belongs to the city. It is in a state of disrepair. It is constantly, and I mean constantly, being cut, folded, bent up, and we on a regular basis repair the fence. We have used prison grade fence. We have stopped people that we've seen traversing through the fence, and we are very much aware that something must be done there. The cost to replace that fence, at least in my mind and what I have presented to the City Commission, is it would be wasteful to consider cyclone fence material because it just doesn't work.
Is that what we currently have?
Yes,
Okay.
right. So, and some of the trees and the brush and bramble, they have grown into the fence, which does act somewhat as a screen to what is behind that area. It is patrolled by the police. We are aware of sometimes vagrants that have set up cots or something in the area, and they do patrol it to make sure that doesn't become any kind of permanent home for someone. So I can only tell you at this point that we budget some money every year. The money is spent generally on repairs. And I think the only time we're going to be able to do something serious with something that's attractive and safe is when we embark upon a project for the park. And that's, as you know, an issue that's been discussed recently, and we'll see where that goes. But it has always been included in any kind of improvement plan for the park. That is first and foremost something that must be done.
Now, if I may just take it a little step further, you've obviously heard that the City Commission is in talks with the Pleasant Ridge Foundation of doing a joint project over in Gainesboro Park, and as the city manager mentioned, that is a high priority for us. And now that we actually, in years past, I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses, but in years past there hasn't been funding. We've been broke. But now we have an opportunity with a joint effort with the foundation and possibly doing some creative funding within the City Commission. We will seriously be the highest priority in that park. Hopefully that answers your question. I mean, I know it doesn't give you the tomorrow, but I mean, at least there's more hope now than there's been in the past, because we actually have a funding source that's willing to work with us on this, and which will help offset some of the cost. I know it's a problem over there. I see the issues. Any other public comments not on the agenda? Okay, we'll go on to item 9. Consideration of the following consent agenda. Sherry?
Mayor, there are 8 items on the consent agenda this evening. And I will read them off. There's a proclamation recognizing the month of April as Fair Housing Month. The next is a resolution recognizing the month of April as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month. A resolution recognizing the week of April 7th as Severe Weather Awareness Week. There's the resolution recognizing April 22nd as Earth Day. Proclamation May 1st as Law Day. A proclamation recognizing May 1st as Loyalty Day, and a request by the Fund for Public Interest, which is PERGIM, to solicit door-to-door for the months of May, June, and July of this year. And then an annual request by the Seventh-Day Adventist Church to solicit door-to-door for the months of June, July, and August. My recommendation is that the consent agenda be approved.
Mayor, I would ask that the consent agenda be approved with the removal of 9F, proclamation recognizing May 1st, 2013 as Loyalty Day, and have an opportunity to discuss later in the meeting.
Okay, we can do that. Why don't we move 9F to... How about if we just make it 9A? Well, we got 9E, A through H. How about 9I? Would that work?
Deputy Mayor, it would be consideration of agenda item number
9A.
9.
Yeah.
A. It just happens that number 9 is the
Okay,
agenda
I'm
item.
sorry, so then we'll go
That's okay.
9, I'm sorry,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you for the correction. So we'll go 9A.
Correct.
Loyalty Day.
For Loyalty Day. Is there a motion for A, B, C, D, E, G, and H?
Mr. Mayor, I move the consent agenda be approved as recommended with the changes of F being removed and moved to 9A.
Okay, is there a second?
I second that.
Can we have a vote?
Commissioner Rubino?
Yes.
Commissioner Krzyjak?
Yes.
Commissioner Perry?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bushy?
Yes. 9 passes. On to 9A. Sorry, let me just get it here. City of Pleasant Ridge Proclamation Loyalty Day, May 1st, 2003. Can we have this read into the record, please? Amy, do you have it?
Mr. Mayor, I also wanted to let you know that I did give you a little bit of backup material because I know Commissioner Krzyjak had a couple questions about it, so I wanted you to know. And I gave you the President's Proclamation.
Is that here in my packet? I don't see it.
Did I? Yeah, it's all here.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Well, there
So
we go.
sorry, yes. This is President Obama's on the top, and I think, let me just have you pass it around. And the other was, I didn't have a lot of time to do a lot of research.
Thank you. Yeah.
A proclamation regarding Loyalty Day, May 1st, 2013. Whereas our dedicated American citizenship is expressed through our devotion to the safeguarding of our freedoms and our readiness to defend our country against all enemies, without and within. And on July 18th, 1958, the United States Congress designated May 1st of each year as Loyalty Day and requested the President of the United States to issue a proclamation asking us to observe this day with appropriate ceremonies and to stand united in the defense of our ideals and freedom. Now, therefore, I, Ralph A. Castelli, Jr., Mayor of the City of Pleasant Ridge, do hereby proclaim the first day of May as Loyalty Day in our city, urging that we affirm our allegiance to our flag and country, and that we proudly display our flag on that day as a clear manifestation of our loyalty and patriotism.
Okay. Commissioner?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. As everyone witnessed, at the beginning of this meeting, I pledge allegiance to the flag, and I stand behind that pledge, and I mean every word I said. But regarding holidays such as Loyalty Day, it concerned me that in a country that so values its freedoms, that it would be necessary for governments, local, federal, state, to proclaim a holiday such as Loyalty Day. We have the 4th of July, which is the anniversary of our country's founding. We have Memorial Day, which honors the sacrifices of the men and women who have died for this country. We also have Veterans Day. A holiday such as Loyalty Day struck me as odd, and I prepared a statement that I would appreciate your patience as I kind of explain my position on this. When I was in 8th grade, I had the kind of teacher that you look back from adulthood and acknowledge their impact on who you become as a person. That teacher had lived through the Vietnam War and knew the sacrifice that thousands of her generation gave. By the time 1987 rolled around, many Americans had started to forget our veterans who had served this nation. This teacher made sure that every year her 8th graders would know the faces of the men and women whose lives had been changed forever in the jungles of South Asia. We went to the local VFW hall and exchanged letters we had written thanking these brave men for their service. It was a very powerful moment for me, and one that has stayed with me to this day. In addition to my own uncle's Vietnam experiences and the stories of my grandfather in the Pacific during World War II, I think of those men when calls of patriotism and freedom and valor are thrown about today. When we honor our veterans, we acknowledge what they sacrificed for our benefit. From that little boy in 8th grade to a 40-year-old man today, I still grapple with what exactly all these men and women over the centuries have spilled their blood for. It is my belief that to honor them and their sacrifices, we have to create a society deserving of the lives they gave. We living are entrusted with creating that nation of freedom that they died for. A nation of truly free men and women, a nation of brave citizens where loyalty is earned and not declared from the pen of politicians. A nation worthy of their blood is one where each citizen is free to speak their mind without worry of being labeled treasonous or disloyal. A strong democracy where dissent is wholly protected and unfettered debate is championed. That is what I believe is owed to the generations that gave everything so that I could utter these words tonight. These following words, were written by American historian Henry Steele Commager in 1954, during the height of McCarthyism and during the era of loyalty review boards, and 4 years before the first proclaimed Loyalty Day. These following paragraphs sum up very accurately my concerns regarding the continuation of a holiday so unbecoming, in my opinion, to a truly free nation. What is the new loyalty? It is above all conformity. It is the uncritical and unquestioning acceptance of America as it is. The political institutions, the social relationships, the economic practices. It rejects inquiry into the race question, or socialized medicine, or public housing, or into the wisdom or validity of our foreign policy. It regards as particularly heinous any challenge to what is called the system of private enterprise, identifying that system with Americanism. It abandons evolution, repudiates the once popular concept of progress, and regards America as a finished product, perfect and complete. It is, it must be added, easily satisfied. For it wants not intellectual conviction or spiritual conquest, but mere outward conformity. In matters of loyalty, it takes the word for the deed, the gesture for the principle. It is content with the flag salute and does not pause to consider the warning of our Supreme Court that a person gets from a symbol the meaning he puts into it. And what is one man's comfort and inspiration is another man's jest and scorn. It is satisfied with membership in respectable organizations and concludes that every member of a conservative one is a true American. It is not yet learned that not everyone who says, "Lord, Lord," shall enter into the kingdom of heaven. It is designed neither to discover real disloyalty nor foster true loyalty. I know this isn't, a debate on, grand federal policies. It's just, I wanted to be clear in why I feel Loyalty Day is something that I don't believe the government of America should be celebrating.
Okay, well, I appreciate your opinion.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, if I could just, for the record, the meaning of Loyalty Day, unless there's something that I'm not aware of, is pretty much spelled out in the President's proclamation, and it's the same one that's been adopted since 1958. And on another site, but like I said, I did get it from the internet. I'll be fair about that.
It must be true.
It must be true, right?
Are you referring to the plaque of the Loyalty Day of 2012?
Right. I think you're adopting or endorsing something that is recognizing freedoms. It's the rule of law and the rights of man through times of tranquility and throes of change. The Constitution has always guided the course for fulfilling the most noble promise that all are created equal, all are free, and all deserve the chance to pursue their full measure of happiness. So I don't want it to appear, at least in the record, that there's anything other than, it's a pledge of allegiance to America. It's to the American citizen.
Can we get this read into the record then? Do you feel like reading
the President's proclamation?
Would you mind? Can you?
Very quickly. More than 2 centuries ago, our founders laid out a charter that assured the rule of law and the rights of man. Through times of tranquility and the throes of change, the Constitution has always guided our course toward fulfilling the most noble promise that all are created equal, all are free, and all deserve the chance to pursue their full measure of happiness. America has carried on not only for the skill or vision of history's celebrated figures, but also for the generations who have remained faithful to the ideals of our forebears and true to our founding documents. On Loyalty Day, we reflect on that proud heritage and press on in the long journey toward prosperity for all. In the years since our Constitution was penned and ratified, Americans have moved our nation forward by embracing a commitment to each other, to the fundamental principles that unite us, and to the future we share. We weathered the storms of civil war and segregation, of conflicts that spanned continents. We overcame threats from within and without, from the specter of fascism abroad to the bitter injustice of disenfranchisement at home. We upheld the spirit of service at the core of our democracy, and we widened the circle of opportunity not just for a privileged few, but for the ambitious many. Time and time again, men and women achieved what seemed impossible by joining imagination to common purpose and necessity to courage. That legacy still burns brightly, and the ideals it embodies remains alike to all the world. Countless Americans demonstrate that same dedication to country today. It endures in the hearts of all who put their lives on the line to defend the land they love, just as it moves millions to improve their communities through volunteerism and civic participation. Their actions help ensure prosperity for this generation and those yet to come, and they honor the immutable truths enshrined in the nation's founding texts. On Loyalty Day, we rededicate ourselves to the common good, to the cornerstones of liberty, equality, and justice, and to the unending pursuit of a more perfect union. In order to recognize the American spirit of loyalty and the sacrifices of so many that have made for our nation, the Congress, by Public Law 85-529 as amended, has designated May 1st of each year as Loyalty Day. On this day, let us reaffirm our allegiances to the United States of America, our Constitution, and our founding values. I, Barack Obama, it's the usual, in witness
May
thereof.
1st, 2012.
I don't think there's any underlying meaning to
Well,
loyalty.
and thank you for reading. I know
get
that was
pretty emotional
I
about
know, and that was tough to read, and I appreciate it. It was long to read. I just wanted to get it on the record, and I truly appreciate your opinion also. I think maybe the best thing to do is if anyone would like to make a motion on this, and go on from there.
I'd just like to make a comment if I could.
Yes, go right ahead.
Jason, I totally respect your opinion, but I don't look at it the same way you do. I look at it when you say loyalty, it means loyalty to our fellow citizens, to the United States, to our government, which is not perfect. God knows it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than what's overseas. There's always room for improvement. There's always differences of opinion, but at least we're allowed to have those differences of opinion. When I look at Loyalty Day, that's been in effect long before 1958. I think it was Americanization Day or something before that. All this is saying in our community is that we're dedicating our loyalty to our fellow residents, to the beliefs that we have, and the best thing that's going on right now in the world. So I don't see it. I see it totally differently than you do, and I respect your opinion. And as I said earlier, you have that right for that opinion. I make a motion that we approve 9F.
I'd like to also make a quick comment.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I'll give you that chance. Make a motion, then I'll give
Yeah,
Commissioner Perry.
I'll second the motion.
All right, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Perry, I'm sorry, you'd like to comment on this also?
Yes, I totally respect Commissioner Krzyak's American spirit in questioning and exercising his I've lost the thing, but sort of the whole American spirit of questioning different concepts and things, because it is very important that we don't just pledge blindly to whatever. But thank you, and it was great to have that read. Thank you, Sherry.
So we had a motion
Jerry,
I'm sorry, go right ahead.
Just if I could, Sherry, I appreciate you reading that into the record, and I respect all my fellow commissioners' positions on this. It is a question, I think, that strikes at the heart of who we are as a country, and I don't want to come across as disrespectful or not grateful for living in this country, because I am. Every day I am. Part of what I see as our role as citizens, not even as people up here, but just as citizens, is to be constantly vigilant of our freedoms. And we talked about the history of Loyalty Day. It was actually, as many people know, May 1st throughout the rest of the world is May Day, and it's a show of solidarity between the workers of the world. Now, during the Soviet, when the Soviet Union was a legitimate threat, there were officials in our government who felt that the response to that threat was to basically institute loyalty. We had loyalty tests. It was an era where people were afraid to speak honestly about their views. This was in 1958. Loyalty Day was created. Now, since the dawn of our country, through a civil war, the people who came before 1958 never saw the need for a Loyalty Day. And we prospered as a country. I just feel that Loyalty Day is misplaced. And I like I said, I appreciate all my colleagues, and I appreciate our city manager taking the time to read the president's proclamation into the record. But I have to be true to my conscience as well, and that's what I'm trying to do as a representative of the people, but also, you know, at the end of the day, be comfortable with my choices. And I appreciate the time that we've all taken on this.
Thank you. Item number 9A, we had a motion for approval of proclamation for May 1st, 2013 as Loyalty Day. Commissioner Rubino and Commissioner Perry, is that correct? Second that motion?
Yeah.
May we take a vote, please?
Commissioner Rubino?
Yes.
Commissioner Perry?
Yeah.
Commissioner Krzyjak?
No.
Deputy Mayor Bushy?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 10. Public hearing. Solicitation of public comments on the ordinance to amend the Pleasant Ridge City Code by creation of a new chapter, Chapter 43, Human Rights.
Mr. Deputy Mayor and City Commissioners, you have before you this evening a copy of the proposed ordinance that addresses human rights. This is an item that has been discussed over the last several months. It was introduced originally by Commissioner Krzyjak. It was presented to the City Commissioners in a draft format. I did receive feedback on some amendments and language changes that were suggested. At the March City Commission meeting, a public hearing was established, and as you know, that's the first step required in adopting an ordinance. So, without any further ado, unless there are, if there are no substantive changes this evening, the ordinance can be adopted as it is. Or if you have some minor suggestions for minor changes, those can be added this evening and adopted as well. There's nothing further to add.
Okay.
I should add. We did receive some correspondence on this item this evening. Most of them were in support of adopting the ordinance. There was one received from a resident who was unfortunately out of town and couldn't attend, who asked that the City Commission not take action on this item because he didn't feel like he had enough time to review.
To what, review the ordinance itself?
Yeah. Now, this ordinance has it been on our website? I mean, if people had the opportunity to see
What's on the website is the legal notice that tells people copies are available of the ordinance at City Hall.
Okay, without any further ado, we will open a public hearing at 8:20. Everybody welcome to come to the podium, give their name and address, and talk on the human rights ordinance. Sorry?
Hi, Jane Mikulski, 110 Elm Park. I believe in the human rights ordinance. There's certainly I've gone through it, and I think it's very comprehensive. I also think it's good for a community, no matter how open a community may be to various members, different people in this world. I think it's always right to make a public statement about what you believe. I have one thing that it's a minor change, and on the second page where it is number 8, HIV status, I certainly would never knowingly or unknowingly probably, I would never find myself wanting to cause anyone who might have HIV a problem. I don't think we should ever discriminate against it. But I would personally like to see it broadened in some way to include other diseases without naming them, whether it's due to health issues or health disease or something, because there are people who have arthritis so badly they become twisted and crippled, but it doesn't mean they couldn't work or they wouldn't make a good neighbor. There are people who have eczema to the point that they wear gloves sometimes on their hands, and while you might hesitate to shake hands, it doesn't mean that they wouldn't be a good person to be around all the time and should not be discriminated against. The other thing is that I know that persons with HIV do not ever have to let any of us know. And it is a private health matter with the individual and the persons with whom they choose to share. And that's the only reason I took objection to it.
Can I just make a comment? Jane, if you look on the following page on number 13, I think it kind of addresses other physical ailments.
Right.
Physical and mental disabilities.
But again, then take out HIV. I just think it should be more inclusive, I think is what I'm really saying, to all diseases.
Okay.
And after all, that's really what the Act, Americans with Disabilities Act speaks to, is everything from asthma to amputation. You know, they cover it all. And I just feel that I just feel that I'd like it a little broader, and I don't want to have anybody feel that we're either trying to single out someone for a particular illness or ignore others for a particular illness. And that's my concern.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
My name is Victor Walker. I'm a staff member at Affirmations in Ferndale. And whereas I don't live in Pleasant Ridge, I speak with residents of Pleasant Ridge on a daily basis. And I just wanted to say, in America, all of our ordinances for human rights have always come as an afterthought, either for women, for blacks, for people with disabilities. It's always, we'll find time to come back and make you equal. Right now, with your ordinance, you have the opportunity to be ahead of the curve and say, we choose to say now that we protect every person that we serve, versus waiting until the rest of the country moves and says, oh, well, about that. We can come to that now. And so I applaud you for even considering this. You're well ahead of many people in the country, well ahead of most in Michigan, I would say. And so I say, if you serve people well, if you do believe in equality, you will pass this. As for the designation of HIV, I think that is necessary. There is no other health issue that is as stigmatized as HIV. You may forget someone has eczema. You may forget someone has diabetes, someone has arthritis, but when someone discloses their HIV status, you will never forget they told you that. And I think that having that distinction is necessary. And I believe that if you do serve the people that we serve well, you will adopt this and you will make sure that every opportunity to follow it is adhered to. So thank you for that moment.
And Victor, I don't know if you've been following the City Commission's process here, but we've always supported this human rights ordinance. It's a matter of just getting it fine-tuned. But thank you for coming and speaking to us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
As much as I don't want to do this.
We know it's Pat.
Well, yeah. That's why I do that. I'm Pat Gross, and I live at 70 Wellesley. I've been a resident of Pleasant Ridge for almost 23 years now. And to kind of expand on what Victor is saying, and something I found myself texting on Facebooks today is, unlike a lot of other communities where they pass these ordinances to kind of, you know, this is how we should be, I really think that what we're doing here is, you know, this is a proclamation of how we do live. And, you know, I personally have always felt safe here. And I've got, you know, these guys right here, and I've never felt odd. And I appreciate that and love you all. So.
Thank you. Public speech.
Great job.
Well, I introduced myself to you earlier. My name is Rudy Serra. I am an attorney. I happen to be the first openly gay person ever to serve as a judge of the state of Michigan, as well as first openly gay person to serve on the Oakland County Commission. I had no idea this was the topic on your agenda tonight, just happened to be here, but it happened to be my specialty in law school. We have a writing assignment. It's kind of like your master's thesis. I'm a former member of the Detroit Human Rights Commission, and I think what you've got here is up-to-date, standard. It meets legislative drafting requirements that I'm aware of. And the issue with HIV, I really appreciate what you mentioned and agree with a lot of it. The distinction, though, is HIV is the only chronic disease that's criminalized in Michigan. Spitting at someone has been held to be using a dangerous weapon. There are people in prison today because of failure to disclose their HIV status. So there is a legal distinction, and that's why HIV status is included in most of the modern, up-to-date ordinances that municipalities look at. So I thank you again. I'm not a resident of Pleasant Ridge, but was on the school board that you're included in. And again, coincidentally, I'm here and just wanted to share that background with you. I'm surprised to see it's here and delighted, and I think you've done a great job.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it, sir.
Oh, shouldn't have been on the end. Hi, I'm Jane Rusin. I live at 7 Hanover. Been a proud ally of the gay community since around 1988, since I met my first openly gay person. So I couldn't be prouder that our city is thinking about adopting this organization. I mean, this ordinance. You can tell I'm a writer. I have two questions about this. First of all, Victor, I appreciate you coming here. I've worked with an AIDS organization for the past, since 1998. And I believe, with all respect, that the HIV mention should stay in. The discrimination against people with HIV is terrible. And even, I think last week in Kansas, there was a law passed to discriminate against people with HIV so that they could be quarantined. It's still going on, so I think that's necessary. And then my only other comment would be, I don't know what kind of, I'd love to know what your rationale was on the fine. Because the fine, on the fine, the amount of the fine.
Oh.
Because $500 seems pretty much like a slap in the hands to me. Thank you.
Well, just to answer that question, that's just in line with what a misdemeanor is in the state of Michigan. In other words, by statute, we can't go any higher than that.
Okay.
Okay.
And thank you very much. I know it was not easy. Thanks for going over. Any more comments for the public hearing? All right, we close the public hearing. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate all the comments. It is 8:30.
29. 23, actually.
Okay. Item number 11, consideration of the orders to amend the Pleasant Ridge City Code by the creation of a new chapter, Chapter 43, Human Rights. Obviously, everybody's had an opportunity to review this. Mr. Cooper, is there anything you'd like to add? I mean, we've had some changes made to this. I know I've had a couple. I know Commissioner Perry has added some. I know everybody has.
I think all the changes are in the draft before you, with the exception of the definition of person.
Right, and again, I talked to Commissioner Perry before the meeting started, and I think that I'm not sure. I don't want to speak for Commissioner Perry, but I think she's satisfied with the definition as it is.
Well, what is?
Okay.
Could you explain to us what the? Oh, you were saying something about because it says state.
What happened was that Commissioner Perry asked us whether it was possible that we could adopt the definition. It's in the Elliott Larson's Act. Elliott Larson's, for all of you who may not know, is the Civil Rights Act in the state of Michigan. And again, in that particular definition, they include, the aspects of the state agency. It talks about the state, a political subdivision of the state, or any agency of the state. And basically, the way our jurisdiction works, if I could make an analogy to the court, we have like a district court, we have a circuit court, we have a court of appeals, and we have a Supreme Court. A circuit court cannot order the Court of Appeals or the Supreme Court to do anything. Conversely, the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals can order the circuit court to do something. And that's really kind of the same way what we have here. We have we're in the political subdivision of a city, then we have the county, then we have the state, then we have the federal government. And as you can see in looking at the Elliott Larson Act, is that they didn't include anything regarding the federal government because they had no jurisdiction to regulate the federal government. So by and large, I think that it would be a little absurd of us to say that that we're now going to indicate that our ordinance is applicable to the state of Michigan or employees of the state of Michigan and that type of thing. So it's just not appropriate for us to use a definition that really is not applicable to our parochial situation that we have here in the city of Pleasant Ridge. So it would be my recommendation that we, adopt the definition as it's stated presently.
Thank you. I didn't know.
And that takes us as far as the city jurisdiction?
Yes, there are. Yeah, we can't. In other words, in the event that the people in the city of Ferndale are in violation of our ordinance, there's nothing that we could do about that. In other words, this is a violation that has to occur within the city of Pleasant Ridge.
Okay.
So, Mr. Cooper, in your reviewing, and I hear Mr. Sierra here now has been a judge and has been a lawyer that specializes in this.
So has Mr. Cooper.
I'm going there. Can you just give me a chance? I'm going there. And Mr. Cooper, as being our city attorney, has reviewed this and also an expert in this field, feels very comfortable with this. Is that true? Or I'm not a legal scholar, and I look at this and I take everybody's.
No. I just think that Ann wanted to get the best possible definition that she could, and then she made the suggestion, and it was good that she did. So,
and I can respect that. But I mean, your opinion on this human rights ordinance is a good ordinance and solid and strong and meets all the criteria. Thank you, sir.
Yes, of course.
Okay. All right. All right. So. Is there any public discussion? I mean, Jason, I'm sorry, Commissioner Krasiak, do you have any discussion? Krasiak?
That was back to 8th. I'm thinking about 8th grade a lot, and that takes me back to 8th grade. Krasiak. Crazy Krasiak.
Crazy Krasiak.
Crazy Krasiak.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, that's fine. Yes, if I could. I know this has become a habit of mine, but I myself get nervous with public speaking, so I feel the best way for me to communicate with people is to write it down. So I also prepared something I wanted to write and share with you all tonight regarding this adoption of this ordinance. In the Michigan Constitution of 1963, civil rights of citizens were protected by prohibiting discrimination based on religion, race, color, or national origin. In 1976, the Michigan legislature expanded protections for its citizens by passing the Llalson Civil Rights Act, which included previous protections for religion, race, color, or national origin, and added age, sex, and marital status as also being protected. Michigan and then the federal government also added protections for citizens with disabilities. I myself am not a legal scholar either. Does that sound correct, Mr. Cooper?
It does.
Okay, thank you, sir. Over our nation's history, there has been a gradual march towards more inclusive protections for its citizens against discrimination in employment, housing, and public accommodations. That march continues in communities across our nation as local municipalities lead the way in making sure all our citizens are protected from the debilitating and demoralizing effects of discrimination.
Oh.
Lost my place. Apologize. The march continues in communities across our nation as local municipalities lead the way in making sure all our citizens are protected from the debilitating and demoralizing effects of discrimination. This is not about bequeathing special rights on any one group, but ensuring that all citizens of a community are treated the same. Just as it is wrong to deny employment because of one's religious beliefs, it is also wrong to deny employment because of one's sexual orientation. What this ordinance does is simple. It makes sure that all the citizens of Pleasant Ridge are afforded the same protections against discrimination as every other member of this community. It has been 37 years since Michigan's civil rights legislation was consolidated in the Llalson Civil Rights Act, and 37 years without protections for sexual orientation being added. This is why it is important for local communities that value inclusion to act now, not only to cover the gaps left by that law, but also to send a message to state capitals everywhere that these protections need to be made part of state law. It has been my experience that politicians, a category that no one seems willing to protect from discrimination, prefer to do things as easily as possible. And I'll say that this is a decision that tonight, for me, is very easy. But this vote is only easy tonight because it matches so completely the spirit of Pleasant Ridge. Our city is the most inclusive community I've ever had the good fortune to call home, and I am honored to represent my neighbors by voting yes on adoption of this ordinance tonight. The work to make this vote so easy tonight has taken place over many decades. Decades of neighbor-to-neighbor interaction in which bonds grew strong, regardless of the color of one's skin or the gender of one's partner. This attitude of acceptance needs to be honored here tonight. Pleasant Ridge, I will say, and I'm sure everyone in this room doesn't need me to say it, but you have very much to be proud of. Finally, I want to honor the generations of lesbians, gays, bisexuals, and transgendered individuals across this country who have endured years of unjust scorn and personal turmoil simply in an effort to live a life true to themselves. They are the ones who have done all the hard work. This easy work of politicians and the vital acceptance of neighbors is important. But the real heroes pushing our society towards a brighter, more inclusive future are the individuals who have taken the brave steps to be themselves without apology. The young and the old who refuse to live lives dictated by others, but untrue to themselves. In spite of violent rejection from total strangers to, in some cases, dearest loved ones, these individuals have held true to themselves and helped change our country for the better. And for that, they have my highest level of respect. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for reading on the record. We appreciate it.
Just a comment to
And
Okay.
Commissioner? That's a good point, Commissioner.
Facebook is something that I don't really participate in. Even though sometimes I read it because I'm given information. Looking at Facebook, I saw there was something written by somebody who made a comment about one of our meetings and concerning me and the adoption of the Human Rights Ordinance. And of course it was taken out of context. And of course, when you put it on Facebook, the person you're writing about doesn't have the ability, because it's on a private network, to respond to the person's comments, which I think is very wrong. I think if you have something you want to say, you should say it directly to that person. I've always believed in face-to-face, and not something written where you don't even know it's there. The comment was made that I was basically against the Human Rights Ordinance, is that I was finally changed my mind, which is absolutely untrue. All he did was ask the question of why. Did an incident happen in a city that we didn't know about? And if it did, we wanted to know about it. Because from my time being here, the 13 years I've been here, I have never found anybody to discriminate against anybody for anything. And I thought that this was being pushed through because something had happened, and as a commissioner, I wanted to know about it. Because if it was, we wanted to know who did it. And we were going to settle that, because in this city I found that everybody loves everybody. It is such a welcoming town that I absolutely love it here. That was the reason I asked the question. That person who wrote it, I was really hoping would be here tonight, because I was going to say, you questioned the park. Does that mean you hate parks? Or do you just want to know more information? That's all I wanted to know. And I think that was wrong. I was trying to get on Facebook tonight to answer that. I can read it, but sometimes getting on it and writing it's difficult. But I have prepared an answer to that person, so the person's reading it will understand that is not my goal, was not my intention, and I was really upset that it was taken out of context like that. I think as the commissioner, all of us have a duty to question everything. And everybody here does. When something's brought up, whether it's about the parks, the roads, or anything, we ask the question. That's what you elected us for, so we can ask questions. And we ask questions doesn't mean we're against it, we just want to know. And as far as the Human Rights Ordinance is concerned, I have people in my family that would meet a lot of these criteria, and I love every one of them dearly. So with that, I want to make a motion that I move that Ordinance 403 amended the Pleasant Ridge City Code by the creation of a new chapter, Chapter 43, Human Rights, be approved as recommended.
Is there a second?
I second that, but I'd also like to make a comment.
Yes.
Sure.
Thank you.
Comments are appropriate.
Okay, good.
There is a second by Commissioner Perry, and Commissioner Perry would like to say something.
Yes. While I am completely in support of this ordinance, and I'm excited and happy that we are taking this action that protects all of our citizens equally. And as we all know, we have a very intelligent electorate here in Pleasant Ridge, and I wanted to see if, I wanted to try and make a motion that maybe we delay it 1 month, the vote, just so people will have an opportunity to actually read the ordinance and have access to it, now that we've discussed it publicly. But it's up to the group. Because that's, that way they can express any opinions, see if there's stuff we've missed. I understand there are people here that do have experience in reading this thing. But I know a lot of times with public hearings, it is customary to have the hearing and then really consider, even though all our comments were very positive, but consider that so that people will have an opportunity to read and digest the document themselves.
I think you should go and vote on it tonight. Quite frankly, I think there's a lot could happen in a month. And I think that everyone has had their input into this particular ordinance. I think you're not going to get any further information. The only thing that could come of this is something, in my opinion, which would be negative or bad. It's my thought that we go ahead with the vote tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. City Manager, did you have something to say?
I would only add that in response to the resident that asked for the same thing, that it be delayed, the ordinance has been available at City Hall. There have been comments made at, I don't remember if February, but for sure at March. We have received some phone calls at City Hall, and a couple people asked for a copy of the ordinance. So there has been some opportunity for feedback, and like I said, I know specifically there were several people last month that actually talked. So my recommendation agrees with the city attorney that you take a vote on this. I think it's full credit to the city commission that you have moved this forward in this fashion. We have all witnessed what has happened in other communities. I remember when the city of Huntington Woods was going through their ordeal, and it went on for almost a year before they could actually bring it to a vote because of the opposition to it. So, like it says.
Thank you. I also like to say something. I first want to thank Jason, or Commissioner, for bringing this to the table. I thought it was a great idea. It was met with open arms. I know there was a little confusion about how fast, how soon, the process. I will say I thought the process worked excellent. We had input from city commissioners. We had professionals look at this document with attorneys. We had input from residents. I don't know of a better process than that. The public hearing is for public comments. We accepted the public comments. I know that this is obviously, the word has got it wrong, because we've had people from outside the community that have come and talked to us, and so it's been well advertised, and I'm not discounting your concern also, but I do support this, and once again, I commend the whole city commission and Jason for this. This is a good. May we take a vote on this, please?
Commissioner Rubino?
Yes.
Commissioner Perry?
Yes.
Commissioner Krzyjak?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bushy?
Yes, motion carries. Okay. On to item 12. Considering the appointment of Miss Erin Seidman to the Pleasant Ridge Historical Commission to fill
Snyderman. That's right.
She's lovely.
Snyderman to the Pleasant Ridge Historical Commission to fill an unexpired term to expire December 31st, 2013. Sherry?
I concur with the recommendation by the Historical Commission to appoint Ms. Snyderman.
I'd like to make that motion if I could, as being the liaison. One of the things, again, I want to thank Mr. Brad Banyan, who had to resign because of personal reasons, because of work and other things. Brad was a tremendous, valuable asset to the Historical Commission, and we're looking forward to Mrs. Snyderman being part of this. So I move the appointment of Ms. Erin Snyderman to the Pleasant Ridge Historical Commission to fill an unexpired term to expire December 31st, 2013, be approved as recommended.
Is there support?
Support.
Support. May we take a vote?
Commissioner Rubino?
Yes.
Commissioner Perry?
Yes.
Commissioner Krzyjak?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bushy?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 13. Consideration of the request by the Pleasant Ridge Foundation for the city to donate certain items to the annual auction Saturday, May 18th, 2013. Sherry?
Mayor and City Commission, this item is an annual item, and I'd like to bring it to the city's attention. These are items that are somewhat creative. We add and subtract yearly depending on what is successful and what isn't. My recommendation is that the items listed in the memorandum be approved. And some of those are the first dog license of the year, the first dog run pass. There's a summer fun package that will allow someone to purchase 5 guest passes. This is for residents only. 5 guest passes, $20 concession stand, swim lessons, a summer program for the cost of your bid. A private pool party for 10, rental at the community center. Name a street, we've added 2 of those now. Those are quite popular. And then right along with the chief of police. So it's fun.
And those items, I know the dog license always is a big hit.
Always.
People just go after that one.
Always.
Big time. It's amazing. It's
And the
amazing.
auction,
All the items are obviously good.
right, and the auction this year is the Roaring 20s and Casino Night. It looks like fun, some new ideas and some new events planned. And that's May 18th, I believe. The president of the foundation is
Yes,
here.
I know. I was just going to ask him if he'd like to come up and speak to this issue.
Sure.
Your name and address, please?
My name is Keith Cunningham. I live at 9 Cambridge, and I'm the president of the Pleasant Ridge Foundation. And this year it is May 18th. This year we are trying something new. We are going to have a casino night. The Friday before, we're going to have a Texas Hold'em tournament, since we have the tent. And this year, our plans are all the money that is going to be raised is be going to parks in the city. So.
Great. And fence.
That's part of the project.
I know. Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. I appreciate it. Didn't mean to put you on the spot, though. Is there a motion?
Mayor, I move the City Commission approve the items recommended by the City Administration as donations to the Pleasant Ridge Foundation for sale at its 2013 annual auction.
Second?
Support.
Mr. Rubino? May we have a vote, please?
Commissioner Perry?
Yes.
Commissioner Rubino?
Yes.
Commissioner Krzyjak?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bushy?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 14, consideration of the following bid. Cambridge Boulevard Road Construction Process. Just before you go into this, I was here the day that the bid process was being done. That was a very interesting process. I didn't realize that we had that many people actually bid on this.
Well, you'll remember it's only been a year or two ago when we only had one person bid. So
Yes,
it
I was
depends
very
on the
impressive.
year.
I don't mean to
really.
In the project.
Yes.
And this is a big project, so.
Okay.
The road reconstruction project is part of the infrastructure improvement project that the voters, the citizens voted on about nearly 20 years ago. And those mills are dedicated to a project every year. This year, the selection of the street is based on need, and that's determined by the engineers, and that's reviewed on an annual basis. This year, the street that will be completely removed and replaced is Cambridge Boulevard West. So it'll be the area west of Ridge Road. It's a long street, as you know. And as you mentioned, this project was put out to bid. We were hoping that the contractor from last year would be willing to extend the prices, but unfortunately, due to the cost, rising cost, he was unable to do that. So bids were mailed, and we had a strong response. And this was interesting because the bid not only included the reconstruction of Cambridge West, but I also added in, as the City Commission directed, the Kemberton sidewalk west of Oakdale, and one of the alleys that's in the most severe condition, and that's the one that's on the east side of Woodward, the southernmost alley. And there was a third alternate there. To remove and replace all of the sidewalks on Kemberton during the project. Generally, what we do is the engineers take a look at the condition of all of the sidewalks. If there's more than 60% that need replacing.
Oh, on Cambridge.
Cambridge. Then we add that into the project, but there isn't, so I don't think we're going to be including that in this bid this year.
Right.
So the total cost and what I am recommending is that 2 of the alternates be included, and that's the sidewalk on Kemberton and the alley. So the total cost for the base bid and the 2 alternates is $456,459, and I'm recommending a 10% contingency, which is something I do every year, for a total bid price of $502,204. And that is part of the reason why there were so many bidders on this. This is a healthy contract.
And it's also nice to see that Tissio Brothers are the contractor again. They've always worked well in this community and worked well with our administration, and it's nice to see that they're the low bidders also.
They've done a majority of the streets in the city, so they're familiar with the needs and desires of the residents of our city. They work well with the community and with the administration.
Is there any questions from the commission?
Yes, as we have been, talking over the past year and a half probably about sidewalks.
Yes.
And a sidewalk program. How does that fit into the scope with this, or does that have to be considered later with funding solutions?
Well, we talked about the idea that a program to be modeled kind of or loosely after the one in Llalson, where people would pay a flat fee amount, and then they would never be responsible for any maintenance or repair of the sidewalk in front of their home.
Unless they rip out a sewer or do something.
Right. So it could be something that would be added into the infrastructure millage, because certainly sidewalks would be considered part of the infrastructure. It's just, in the infrastructure, there will be a question on the November ballot this year to extend the infrastructure millage. So it could be that, but then you're adding considerable cost to those projects, and we would risk the idea of the funds that are generated that we collect by the 3 mills would not be enough.
Okay.
For example, to do a street. So I think the idea that Clausen had was a good one.
So we think okay, so the Llalson structure, when will we be able to start something like that? Because we do have considerable sidewalk issues across the city,
there's no doubt. Well, we could start that. I mean, we'd have to start working on the language, but a lot of that information I already have from Clausen. So I'm assuming that could probably be implemented on this winter's bill, not this summer's bill.
Because that's something we've sort of been discussing, right?
Yeah, we talked about it at the budget sessions, yes. Which I thought was a really good idea.
Yeah, because it's such a hazard, and people are very, I mean, I hear continual concerns, because people have either one severe tripping hazard because, tree roots or something, or, sidewalks that have crumbled. And as we all know, it's very expensive to have a person come out to do just your
It's hard to get
solution.
someone. Right.
And the quality level. I mean, the quality that we have gotten with the sidewalks is a different level than sometimes you see with the repairs that an individual may have made too.
And I would recommend you pass a motion to direct me to start developing a program for that, specifically the one where there would be a fee added to the residents, an annual fee, and that fee would cover the cost of maintenance and repair of sidewalks.
So what will we do? Ask you to start putting information together so we can discuss it next month? Okay.
Yep.
But let's go this route. Let's make 14A.
Do you want to do one thing first?
Yeah, let's do a 14A.
You do something like that.
Well, let's finish this, and that's a great idea.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move the bid for the Cambridge Boulevard Road Reconstruction Project be awarded to the lowest qualified bidder, Tissio Brothers Incorporated of Washington Township, Michigan, in the amount of $456,459, plus a 10% contingency, which will equal $502,204, be approved as recommended.
Is there support?
I second that.
Is there a vote?
Commissioner Rubino?
Yes.
Commissioner Perry?
Yes.
Commissioner Krzyjak?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bushy?
Yes, motion carries. 14A.
Yep.
Commissioner Perry, would you like to make a motion on that?
I would like to make a motion that to direct the city manager to put together information regarding a sidewalk program that is modeled in some way after the Llalson model that we've discussed. Pretty please.
I support that.
Mr. Rubino and Commissioner Perry?
Yes.
And Mr. Rubino supported. Is there a vote, please?
Just a comment if I could. Just to give an explanation of what she's talking about as far as the city manager is talking about is the Llalson is each resident contributes a certain amount of money a year on their tax bill. 25, I think, isn't Llalson 25?
It would not be 25. It is in Llalson because of their population.
Right. So even if it's $50 a year, and then when the sidewalks need to be replaced, the city will come out and replace them. Because if you know that if you have 8 or 10 or 12 slabs in front of your house, at anywhere between $75 and $100 a slab, it gets extremely expensive. But if we build up a kitty, then we can go and do certain streets each year. This way the residents won't have to pay for it directly themselves anymore. And we thought it was a great idea in our budget sessions, and I think we do need to move on it, so I totally agree with that. Sorry.
That's it. No, thank you. Thank you for the input.
So just to be clear, the motion that we're voting on right now.
Just to prepare it.
Just to prepare, not approve it.
Right.
Can't approve that. We don't put it together.
And just to make clear, there's no cost involved. That would be obviously your time, but
Right.
which is
Yes, you're correct.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you. Could we take a vote?
Commissioner Perry?
Yes.
Commissioner Rubino?
Yes.
Commissioner Krzyjak?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bushy?
Yes. 14A passes. 15. City Manager's report.
I have one item on my report this evening. The liaison reports actually have eliminated most of mine because I gave you dates and updates, and so that's nice. But I would like to mention that April this year marks the 20th anniversary of Mayor Ralph Castelli's term as mayor. And Unfortunately, he was out of town this month, otherwise we would have done something to recognize it, because in addition to his 20 years as mayor, he served 3 years on the planning commission. So 23 years dedicated to this city is really remarkable. And I would tell you that he has missed city commission meetings, maybe 3 or 4 that I can remember. And he started his volunteer career about the same time that I started as a part-time postal clerk in Pleasant Ridge. And it has been quite an interesting friendship, and you know, watching him grow into the role of mayor. So I think we are all honored and owe him a debt of gratitude. He has never received one bit of compensation, nor have any of you, and I am always the first to champion that when it comes to our professional organizations, and the question comes up as, you know, what is the compensation for your elected officials? And I am the first to say these are truly volunteers. So.
All right, are we going to be doing anything for Mayor Costello?
Yes, and I'm not going to tell a lot.
Well, no, I wouldn't want it. I know it's being publicized, but I mean, I would hope that you would be doing something that we would
at the
honor
main
his
meeting, we will do
appreciation.
something probably immediately following. There'll be some kind of recognition reception.
Thank you. That's it then.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Item number 16, other business.
Jerry, if I could.
Yes.
One thing I wanted to do in the what could be brief time that I serve as commissioner on this body, now that I outed myself as a pinko communist tonight. But,
you said it.
Yeah, exactly. One thing that has always inspired me is books and reading, and one thing I really wanted to do on my term as commissioner is facilitate discussion around various books that I feel are important or other people feel are important. I talked to Mr. Peterzak tonight. He said there's some ongoing book clubs throughout the city. What I would like to do is invite anybody who's interested to participate in what could be a every other month book reading event discussion. I cleared it with my wife, and she said I could invite you all to my house on May 21st at 7 p.m. A book that I would like to discuss that evening, and it's relevant right now because of the things that the foundation is discussing regarding the playground improvement. It's something I shared with City Manager Ball, and it's called Kaboom, and it's a movement to save play. In this book, they just talk about how, and it's something I'm dealing with right now with 3 children, as far as getting them off the video games and rediscovering play. Play was always something I think we always enjoyed as children. I feel that there is a potential for us to have a lost generation here with kids who don't even really know how to play. It's really the theme of this book. I think it's timely regarding the discussion that we're having with the foundation regarding park improvements. And like I said, I would like to invite you all, or whoever's interested. You can find copies of this book online or at local bookstores. If you contact me, I'll be happy to direct you to a copy. Please contact me at my email address at City of Pleasant Ridge. It's J. Krzysiak, KRZYSIAK at cityofpleasantridge.org if you're interested in coming over on Tuesday, May 21st to discuss the Kaboom book.
And bring all your friends.
And bring all your friends. And one thing I'd like to do in the future is maybe take recommendations from other people who maybe have books that affected them in an impactful way, and we could share those and read those. So I wanted to try that. So I appreciate your time in announcing that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Perry, you have anything?
No. Thank you.
Well, I would just like to bring one thing up. I know that we The survey is out. I understand, talking to John yesterday, that we had 280, almost 300 responses. I think they have till the 19th.
Correct.
I encourage everybody that's watching this evening to take the time and make your thoughts heard and seen, because that's going to be an important process of the park projects throughout this community, including, quote, the East Side Park. Also, John mentioned the other day that he is getting ready to gear up his walkthrough on the park. He's looking at the end of April. And so as soon as we get that date, we're going to publicize it. I'd like to see the residents have at least a 2-week notice, and it looks like we're going to have pretty close to that, isn't it? Or?
Well, I would tentatively announce April 27th. I think that's going to be the date. That's a Saturday.
So the residents have a good 2 weeks notice on that? I mean.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Okay, I want to
Yes.
make sure. I don't have a calendar in front of me, so I
Yes.
want to make sure that we're not going to be skirting any.
Yeah.
A little over 2 weeks.
Right. Okay. So that is a date, April 27th. Then?
April 27th was the date that seemed to work for John and the crew that's going to go out to the park. So
Okay.
anyone is welcome to walk along with this.
And we'll get more information. We'll post that on our website, and we'll have flyers and put it on everything we can to make sure that
Yes.
everybody's informed. Okay.
And one more thing, I'm glad you said that, because actually I did want to thank Jay Foreman and Ryan Stern and the ESPN group, who have all done a lot of work to try and get the news out about, the survey. And, the ESPN group even, it was they took their own time and money and put together flyers to get out to everybody's house. And, and what I wanted to ask Scott is if there's any way we could put a map on the website of the different parks, because sometimes people don't know the names.
It's on there.
Oh,
it's been on there, the park map.
Oh, on the website?
Yeah, it's been on there for over 8 months now at least.
Cool, where is it?
I believe it's in the recreation section.
Okay, great. I will.
But I can put a direct link on the Facebook page and on the front page at least for the next couple weeks until people realize where it is.
That's great, because it was even some long-time residents who are big walkers who were not certain where a couple places were. But that would be great. And is there a name, does Memorial Park go all the way up to 696 from here up to 696?
It does.
In theory.
Up to the city property, up to the state property.
We call the parks between the streets. Memorial Park ends at Elm Park, if you look at the map. But then, we have the other parks that we call Elm Park, and then we call Poplar Park. We're waiting to name those parks. People leave.
And then is there a name for the parks or any identifier for the ones around the pool?
There are. The one
Moberly?
right adjacent to the pool is Moberly.
Okay.
Moberly Park, and then the community center is just
Behind the community center is what I call it.
Yeah, there isn't necessarily a name for the one that's behind the
great.
community center, but
Thank
the one
you.
right adjacent to the pool is Moberly Park. So yeah, but that map is up there.
Thank you very much. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Aye. All in favor? All in favor of the motion?
Rob seconded.